This summer, we enter a new era of Star Wars.
You mean the Dawn of the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast?
Yeah, sure, that too. But I was obviously talking about The Acolyte. We've got to cover that on the Lorehounds.
Oh, but the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast is exactly at that point in the timeline, the end of the High Republic, 100 years before the prequel trilogy. We've got to cover it there.
Why not both?
Okay, deal.
It's the first live-action Star Wars outside the Skywalker saga. Nobody can miss this.
Listeners, kick off your hot lore summer weekends with scene-by-scene breakdowns of The Acolyte, found in both the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast and the Lorehounds Mother feed.
And the Lorehounds Star Wars feed.
Wherever you like to listen, a couple of days after each new episode is released. Welcome to the Lorehounds MCUniverse, your guides to the Marvel multiverse of production drama and smartmouth mercs. I'm Elysia.
And I'm Jean. I'm glad to be back on the mic to talk some Marvel news, X-Men comics, and the entire Fox Marvel filmography.
Yeah, we're getting into it. In this podcast, we're going to catch up on the latest in the world of Marvel movie making, Jean's X-Men thoughts and current comic reading, and which films are worth watching this month before Deadpool and Wolverine's July release allegedly, quote-unquote, kills the Fox Marvel universe.
Warning, we reserve the right to spoil everything that Marvel has ever made. And stick around to the end of the podcast for info about what else is coming up on the Lorehounds Network.
If you're enjoying what we do and you're interested in supporting the Lorehounds community, check out our Supercast and Patreon subscriptions. Subscribers get early and ad-free podcasts, bonus episodes, and a bunch of other benefits. Or if it works better for you, if you like what we're doing, ratings, reviews, wherever you listen are always a huge help.
If you want to get in touch with us, there are a couple of options. You can send us emails to mcu@thelorehounds.com or head to our website and either use the voicemail feature or the contact form.
We also love chatting Marvel on our Discord, so join us there. We're
Indeed.
We're talking about everything else being covered on the network as well, and a whole lot more with dedicated channels for it all. You'll find links for everything we've mentioned in the link tree in the show notes. So,
and real quick on the Marvel stuff, there's also a new feature that was added a little while ago about Marvel Comics. So you'll see what I'm reading weekly. I'll drop, my thoughts on what I thought was my best buys for the week. And anyone is welcome to join us and tell us what you're reading, tell us what you want to read. Let's talk about it all.
Yeah, it's good to be back on the mic with you, Jean. And you've been busy on the Discord too. Like you've been enjoying your, wait for it. What are you most into at the moment?
Wow. At the moment, I'm into everything. I'm just catching up on a lot of stuff that you guys have done over the last month and a half, all the pods that I missed out on, and just really brushing up on my Star Wars. Of course, I'm heavily involved in watching The Acolyte and giving my thoughts on how horrible the Jedi are. And
they're complicated.
Complicated horribly. They're horribly complicated. How about that? So I'm watching that. I'm enjoying The Boys as well. The first 3 episodes that dropped were amazing to me. And I'm here for everything that we have going on right now.
Yeah. I'm glad to be talking Marvel with you again. Obviously, we'll be back in a month to break down Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
And I think we probably will both agree Agatha All Along warrants weekly coverage in September.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's going to be must watch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm very excited about that. Speaking of witches. And don't think that we've forgotten about the DC and Versus plans we've teased either. Yeah, I think we should probably talk about Joker 2 when it comes out in October.
Yes,
That's Elseworlds.
yes.
Elseworlds, I can say that.
We can definitely do a Joker 2 breakdown. That would be great. The DC Versus, that's going to be awesome. So we're going to be expanding and talking about all things DC as well as all things Marvel. Just FYI out there, get ready for, a lot of Superman breakdowns.
Well, so we get to practice. We were going to say our goodbyes to the DCEU with a power ranking. So we're going to practice saying our goodbyes to the Fox Marvel universe today with the power
Hooray!
ranking. You're glad to see it go. You're like, goodbye.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that part.
The rest. Okay, so this episode we have a packed episode. We're gonna talk through some of the biggest Marvel news of the year so far, since we haven't really gotten a chance to respond to it together. We're gonna check in with Jean about his thoughts on X-Men 97, the newest X-Men comics he's reading right now, and get some comic recs. And also we're gonna in the second half we're gonna prep for Deadpool and Wolverine, the film being called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Fox Universe. And Jean and I have watched all 18 Marvel Fox films, not necessarily recently, so that you don't have to. And we've ranked them with tons of nostalgic bias for sure. So we're going to talk through which ones are worth your time, which characters are expected to turn up in the new film. And Deadpool and Wolverine comes out July 26th in US, July 24th in Europe and
elsewhere. I believe the 26th.
Yeah. So that gives listeners about a month to catch up on whatever they want. How many of these movies roughly do you think are actually worth watching? One. I mean, you're going to say, you're going to say even the Deadpool movies aren't, but the Deadpool movies are worth watching.
No, you should watch the Deadpool movies just to get a sense of for the character. If you haven't seen the movies before, or if you haven't heard of the character, and you're just walking in, definitely watch the Deadpool movies. I won't disparage them because Deadpool just isn't my favorite character,
right?
But the movies, folks really enjoyed them, so I'm not going to poo-poo on the Deadpool series.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things you do like, did you get a chance to watch the new Spider-Within Spider-Man short, Miles Morales short?
Yeah, that was amazing. And it was it brought up a lot of emotion for me, and thinking of my own relationship with my father, as well as my relationship with, my beautiful 7-year-old little boy. Just, remembering how my father was of a very, of an older generation, new immigrant to the U.S. So growing up, we didn't really have those moments of where we would speak about how I'm doing or about how he's doing. That only came to us as I grew into my adulthood. And those are memories that I cherish, him asking me about my day and how I'm feeling and how I'm doing. We got to talk about a lot of things later on in life. And I'm reminded when I was watching The Spider Within, how I want to be able to do that sooner with my kid.
Right.
I want him to have those memories a lot sooner than I did with my dad. My dad was always present. He was super awesome. He was a wonderful man.
Right.
But I wish that when I was younger,
there's a generational difference.
Yeah. So I just wish that when I was younger, I had that connection to him that I got as I got older.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's beautiful to hear that you connected it with it in that way, because that wasn't necessarily what I saw from it, but it is also a short about anxiety, which is a very real thing for me. So for me, that was the part I connected with, this portrayal of like how he, experiences this paralyzing fear when he's just on his own. And, it doesn't matter if you're a superhero, it's still, you're fighting the spider within.
And I think that's a wonderful thing to have brought out in this space that we exist
Right.
in, because so many people are dealing with a lot of things, and to be able to see it on screen from a hero's perspective, I think it's something that's really overdue on screen, and kind of needed. And again, it just, you know, those moments where you have those feelings that well up in you and you don't know what to do about them. Having it hit for me, him, you know, going to his dad and just being able to say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And that is super important, to have someone in your life to be able to do that with. Not many of us are blessed with that. Not many of us are able to say that they have that connection with someone so close to them. And for Miles to have it, especially, you know, in the superhero space, especially in this space where, you know, race plays a large part in what we consume. And the conversations around fatherhood and Black fathers really is needed, because we are present in the lives of our children. And that was something else that hit for me, because it was like, yeah, this is a dad who cares about his kid, who's, you know, his kid is in the bedroom, he's in the living room watching TV. I remember that from growing up. You know, I remember walking downstairs and seeing my father on the sofa, or vice versa. And it's an important distinction to make, because so many times we're told that as a Black man that you're not present in the lives of your family. And that is something that's very far from true for a lot of folks. So that perspective, I think, is also needed, and was welcomed by me.
Well, if anyone wants to check this out for themselves, you can find it on YouTube. It's called The Spider Within. It's set between Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, directed by Jarrell Dampier and written by Kalia Amazon. And it was done in collaboration with the Kevin Love Fund to promote mental health awareness. Now, I don't know who Kevin Love is, because
he's a basketball player. He's a sports ball. Sports ball, I love it. Yeah,
but you're familiar. He's a well-known basketball player.
He's a very accomplished basketball player. Very accomplished basketball player who's been very open with his own mental health well-being for many years now. So this is a welcome conversation that you know, little tidbit of Spider-Man's life showed.
Yeah, it's summarized as Miles Morales starts to feel the pressure of his life as Spider-Man, which results in a scary, trippy little jaunt through his subconscious.
Yeah. And we all could relate to that.
Yeah. There was also a cool new What If immersive thing that came out for Apple Pro users. Now, neither of us get to try it because, unfortunately, I do not have any Apple products, let alone...
Neither do I, actually.
But Eric Voss on New Rockstars did a breakdown of it. So that was cool to see. If anyone wants to check out that video, it's cool because it's like kind of from the viewpoint of the villain. So it looks like a fun thing. If you have an Apple Pro, I would try it.
Definitely.
And definitely, if you do get to try it, then please write in and tell us how it is.
Yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know how it is.
What do you think of the Fantastic Four castings that have been announced?
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Pedro.
Yeah. So there was.
I say it like I know him, right?
No, yeah.
That's Pedro. That's my guy.
No, it's okay. It's my husband. Yeah. I mean, there were doubts, and I was among the doubts about him as Reed Richards when it was being kicked around. But now I'm on board. I'm like, okay, yeah. Vanessa Kirby is perfect as Sue Storm.
Yeah.
Some people are complaining about Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. He's the guy who played Eddie in Stranger Things, which I think he's great.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of the casting. No.
And I love Eben Moss Bacharach, who. Yeah. So he's from The Bear. He's from Andor. I think he's going to be really good.
No, I think the film is shaping up to be, from the little that we know of it, you know, it might be something really, really special, actually.
And I wasn't so familiar with Ralph Ineson, who's going to play Galactus, but once I heard his voice, I was like, yeah, okay, we're in.
A proper Galactus, please.
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
get into this later, but just a proper Galactus. That's all if they give me that, the movie is successful.
How do you feel about, so Julia Garner's been cast as the Shala Ball version of Silver Surfer.
I'm cool with it.
So in the comics, I'm not really a Fantastic Four person, so I'm hoping that this is gonna like get me tapped into it, because you're gonna see those movies are ranked kind of low in mine. But
well, you saw mine. I didn't make my list.
I looked away, and
okay.
The only thing I saw was that I just blacked it out, but the only thing I saw is that we had the same number one, but I would have been shocked if we didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was also Lakeith Stanfield. He spoke up at one point. He's like, I thought I was going to be the Silver Surfer. So now people think maybe he is being cast as Norrin Radd. And so Shala Ball, for anyone who doesn't know, is like the romantic partner of Norrin Radd, who is the most common Silver Surfer in the comics.
Yes. So we're not sure what universe this takes place in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
no, yeah. I mean, because it seems to be like set in the 60s, retro-futuristic sort of vibe.
So we don't know, the particulars of what the story will be. But, Shala Bal as, Silver Surfer is fine with me. I think it just depends on what the story is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the characters are the
I'm
characters.
Excited about it.
Yeah.
She seems, I did a little reading up on her character after this was announced. And she seems cool. Like she's from another planet. She's like an empress. Like,
she's a very cool character. And I know, the usual suspects were up in arms, but
well, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Done
they could kick
about
rocks. They could kick rocks.
We also we don't know who's going to be Victor Von Doom. So this is, of course, everyone's waiting with bated breath. And also there's going to be the robot Herbie. And we don't know who's going to voice Herbie, but we know that 3 actors are confirmed associated with the movie, but we don't know for what parts. And that's John Malkovich, Paul Walter Hauser, and Natasha Lyonne. And I don't think any of them would be a Victor Von Doom for me, but somebody suggested Natasha Lyonne as Herbie, and I would love that. She has such a cool voice.
Is Herbie in the movie?
Yeah, Herbie's in the movie.
Oh, that escaped me. Okay. All right. I could see Natasha Lyonne voicing Herbie.
Mm-hmm.
I could hear her voice as Herbie. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that would be fun. So, yeah, just a reminder for anyone who doesn't know that Disney, the reason like all this stuff is happening with the Fantastic Four and X-Men and stuff the way it is now is because Fox had the rights to those properties in particular, and some others that we'll talk about when we do our Fox rankings. And Disney bought Fox and thus folded all the Fox Marvel properties back into the MCU. So Deadpool's gonna like kill them off more or less, and they can bring over anyone they want. Do you think they'll bring any characters from the Fox universe over into the MCU?
God, no.
I do hope they start over with the X-Men.
Yeah, everything needs a reboot. Everything needs actors included. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah. I mean, they've already rebooted the cast for Fantastic Four. So.
Yeah, so no. There's no reason there should be no remnants of the Fox universe.
The back half of the episode is our personal funeral for the Fox Marvel universe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess we have to address the Blade behind the scenes drama. So the latest is that the director, Jan Demange, he exited the movie, and there's a new screenwriter, Eric Pearson, who he did like the Fantastic Four, one of the movies we're going to talk about, Black Widow, Thor Ragnarok. What somebody pointed out to me about him is that he's a get it across the finish line kind of guy. So maybe this is a good sign.
I hope you're right, because when I heard the news that Jan was leaving, Again, I say these people as if I know them. I say their names, like,
we know their work. It's like we know their soul.
First name basis, right? When I heard he was leaving, my thought was very dark, because I just think that Iger and his views are being just I don't know how to explain it, but Iger wants to go back to a time when the only superheroes were white men. That's just what I really believe in my heart of hearts.
He didn't used to be like that, but I think it's the businessman. He used to be the creative's friend, and now it's like the businessman in him is like, oh, well, the right wing people are crying. So
yeah. So I really feel like, there are a lot of projects that will suffer because of this new outlook on what Disney wants to be. The home of not just every superhero of every stripe, but the home of specific superheroes. And that's where my mind went to when I heard about yet another, delay with Blade. Like, could it be like the head of the studio of the company saying, pump the brakes on this black guy, this black character who's a vampire. And, let's go back and do something that will appeal to our audience.
Well, I'm going to say no for one. Okay, so I think there's two. I'm going to say yes for one reason, no for one reason. I'm going to say first, I'm going to say no because I think they just know. Like, nobody bet on Blade back in the day, and it was a home run. And I think they still remember that. And they're like, this is an easy win. Even though they keep messing it up. They have Mahershala Ali,
Feige remembers that,
right. And they have exactly. He built part of his career on that,
Oh, yeah.
But they have Mahershala Ali, who's, undeniably a bankable movie star. But on the other hand, they have pledged for an R rating, which cuts into the final amount of money that they will make at the box office.
Like I said,
we'll see what happens with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. It's just that's the place that I went to when I heard the news. I could be wrong. I'm not saying this is, set in stone. This is how it is. This is why it is. But
it's just the vibe
just a vibe that I got from Iger's comments over the last 2 years about, diversity.
About, that we're going to focus on the superheroes that people like, but nobody was into Iron Man and Captain America until Feige made them into them.
Until they made them. Yeah. So, and that's my thing. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully that is not the driving force behind,
But they've got to look at, Black Panther is also one of the biggest grossing films in the MCU.
Yeah,
and it's the only one that got an Oscar.
I know, but Black Panther 2, for various reasons, was panned. And even the original Black Panther was, they protested that one as well.
Well, yeah.
So,
until it made money. And then they're like,
until it made money. Until it made money. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong in that assumption. And I'll, be very happy to be wrong about that.
Editor Elysia popping in. After recording, Jean shared a new article on Discord from The Hollywood Reporter that outlined in more depth the behind-the-scenes Blade shuffle, and Jean said, to quote him directly, "My fears about Iger being the voice behind the Blade BS have been squashed." So, just that update. I'll link to that article in the show notes for anyone who's curious, and I'll also link to the videos that we were talking about just before that. Okay, back to the conversation. Someone, and it might have been Eric Voss, I can't remember, someone was suggesting, what if this rejiggering of the Blade stuff is because they're trying to line up a Midnight Suns movie more quickly? Which I'm excited for Blade. I am beyond excited for Midnight Suns.
Yeah, so am I, but that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think you can introduce the Midnight Suns in the MCU without reintroducing Blade into the MCU, probably.
No, they're gonna do Blade first, but maybe they are tweaking the Blade story to set up this Midnight Sun story.
Could be.
I was so excited that Michael from Blue Eyed Samurai was writing, and now
Yeah, because Blue Eye Samurai rocked.
I keep my mind open and my hopes. I mean,
I forgot the word. I forgot what he said, but yeah, it was a great show. And the thing is, we can't be. I don't want to be the cynical guy, but I am forced to be the cynical guy, and I'm just like, I just want the movie, man. I just want the movie, make the movie. It's been 3-4 years we talk about this. Just commit to it and let's go.
Wesley Snipes was making jokes about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he did. I saw Wesley on Twitter.
You know what? Fair.
It is fair, definitely. You gotta bring the homie back into the MCU. He has to get his flowers. So
I'm excited though. Mia Goth is supposed to be in Blade 2, and she's like horror queen to me after the whole T West. Maxine's the newest movie.
I haven't seen them.
And then Pearl, and then a
lot of horror fans rave about them, but I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it is because of T West, but it's also because of her, because she's just like so magnetic and like such a chameleon, and wow, no spoilers.
Okay.
But yeah, so Bob Iger, he says they're reducing output in coming years, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think we can have just 4 or 5 titles a year.
Yeah, that's fine, as long as they work. That's my thing. It's like, it's not about the output; it's about the quality.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can make quality programs, quality shows, and you're doing 3 or 4 a year, that's fine. If you can make quality programs and movies and shows, and you're making 7, 8 a year, that's great too. But you have to be able to have the quality, because you could have 4 movies out and they all stink.
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean? It means that the movies stink. It wasn't about the amount of movies. It was about the movies that you made. Right. So as long as you're making good stuff, I don't think the amount that you make matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, after Deadpool and Wolverine, we're only getting one more live action thing this year, so it better be good. But it's all reports about Agatha all along are quite positive that I've heard.
Yeah. And I have faith in the team that's making the show. So and she's awesome. Yeah. Agatha's an awesome character.
Yeah, and we've got Aubrey Plaza is stepping in, and
some great actors are in this, so this will be good.
And so that's gonna start with a double episode drop on September 18th, and then go weekly for 8 episodes total. I love how they trolled us with the titles. Like, they kept switching the titles, and people were like, come on. So we had House of Harkness, then Coven of Chaos, The Darkhold Diaries, and then the last one was really
the best one.
The Lying Witch with Great Wardrobe. We're like, come on, you're trolling us.
That's the best one. That's the best one out of the bunch.
And then they're like, yeah, we're trolling you. It's Agatha, because it's Agatha all along.
All along.
I'm super excited for that. We might get more animation this year. Maybe. We've been kind of promised Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, like, near universe story with Daredevil in it. And also Eyes of Wakanda, which I'm excited about. Eyes of Wakanda, now that I hear it's going to be set in all different timelines.
Time periods,
Wakanda. Yeah.
You get a fuller Wakandan history on screen. So that should be interesting. It should be fun.
And there's apparently going to be like a previous version of Iron Fist in there.
Yeah, because, these characters have always existed. So it's not just,
it's not
Danny
just
Rand, who's been Iron Fist, just like it hasn't always been, Stephen Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, exactly. Wow, and he's not in our universe. Well, no.
Right.
And then, so then in 2025, there's 4 films and 2 shows planned, which is kind of a lot. I will have to wonder if some of them are going to get bumped. I'm looking at you,
think? You think?
Allegedly, we're getting Captain America: Brave New World in February, which there have been a lot of reshoots, drama stuff around that one too. Daredevil Born Again in March. Obviously, also a lot of reshoot drama, but I think they are prioritizing that one because they think they know, like, this is one
It's gonna
everyone
hit.
agrees on.
Yeah.
We have Thunderbolts with an asterisk. The asterisk to be explained after the movie's release, apparently, which is allegedly May 5th, 2025. The previously discussed Fantastic Four, July 25th, and allegedly Blade, November 7th. We'll see. And we're supposed to get Ironheart also. Oh, wait, that's 5 films.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. Ironheart.
No, Ironheart is a TV show.
Right. No, yeah.
Disney
I'm
Plus,
excited for Ironheart because that is maybe we're gonna get some more magic side, like maybe some devilish action.
I'm excited for Ironheart because Riri.
Yeah, okay,
more. I just need more Riri Williams in my life.
Listen,
yeah, she's an awesome character.
No, that's true, but I like the Demons of Magic. And yeah, I feel like maybe we'll get Marvel Zombies Halloween next year, although maybe even Halloween this year because like it's only 4 episodes. They've been working on it forever. It's got to be done, right?
Yeah, I mean it would be great if it dropped this Halloween.
Yeah,
that would be super awesome.
We're getting already Agatha All Along around that time, but
right,
delight us, surprise us.
I think it would be great if we
Just
got
give
that
us
this
a surprise
Halloween
drop. Yeah. And also, What If season 3? I'm guessing next year for that.
No, I don't think it'll be this year.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be this year.
It's well in progress, but still. And then we still have like all this stuff on the slate for 2026 and beyond. They haven't, as much as Iger said we're going to focus more. It doesn't seem like they are canceling things that they've announced, really. Which I'm okay with. I'm happy with. I want the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We want it all. Yeah. But will we get it all? I think no.
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
So we have Armor Wars in development. We've got Avengers 5, which may or may not still be named the Kang Dynasty. We've got Secret Wars, of course. That's going to stick. That's supposed to be. So we're supposed to get Kang Dynasty in 2026 and Secret Wars in 2027. And sometime, I don't know, before or after that, probably after that. We're going to have a new Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, I would think it would be after Secret Wars.
Yeah. And although Spider-Man's definitely going to show up in Secret Wars.
Yeah. But the standalone Spider-Man movie probably after Secret Wars.
And then we're supposed to get a sequel to Shang-Chi. This Nova movie, TV show,
Richard
special
Rider.
Presentation. I don't know,
Rider.
Nova something.
Yeah.
There's definitely an X-Men movie in development, but I would say that should be after Secret Wars when they reset. Although I don't know because the way they set things up with the Marvels.
Yeah, that's true.
And then on the show side, I'm super excited about Vision Quest. Maybe I'm just a weirdo, but I've been really excited about that ever since White Vision flew off at the end of WandaVision, and I'm hoping that it sets up the West Coast Avengers. For similar reasons, I'm also excited about Wonder Man.
I am not excited about Wonder Man because I do not want Yaya to play Wonder Man.
Why?
I don't want him to play Simon Williams.
Why not?
Because it's just give him a traditionally black role. Just make,
because you don't want like
him,
the pushback or whatever from the trolls, or
because he's not. It's as a reader of the comic. Mm-hmm. I know Wonder Man. He's not a very well known character. Mm-hmm. So you can do whatever you want with them. Right. But again, I just there's a dearth of there are a lot of black heroes in comic
So you
books.
would just rather just if you're gonna
just bring one of those comics to life.
I was like, they had the perfect casting for Wonder Man, which was Nathan Fillion. He was going to be
that would have been
of the Galaxy, and that
I could definitely could see Nathan Fillion as Simon Williams. That would have been genius casting. Actually.
But I guess they wanted to go younger or something.
You're not a weirdo. You are a genius, because that would have been genius casting.
I know. There are pictures, like people can Google online and see pictures of him in costume on set. Like, we almost had it.
That would have been
Didn't
great.
we
So
always
yeah,
have it all?
and it's not
Yeah.
it's not Yaya, you know, because I think he's a great actor.
Mhm.
He's going to do well. It's going to be dope. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be dope. You know, it's going to be. I'm going to watch it. And I'm probably going to
Yeah.
like it.
I
I'm
feel
going to
like
be
I've
like,
only
oh, you should watch this.
Yeah. I feel like I've only seen him play more serious characters, though. So I don't know much about his comedic timing, but I assume they wouldn't cast him if they didn't think he had it. So
But Simon Williams doesn't have to be played for
yeah,
comedy.
I guess he could be laughed at. I mean, I just have a feeling it's gonna be a comedy show.
And he was been a serious character.
Mhm.
Like he's had some really like terrible arcs in the comic books. You know, once we get closer to the show, we'll talk about it. But there's some really, you know, crazy stuff that guy goes through. But again, it's not about Yaya. It's just about bringing, you know, other characters that people may not know to life. And I would have appreciated, I think, that being the way they went with a actor of Yaya's, you know, ilk.
Okay. Well, yeah, there are more rumors of there's like rumors of an Okoye spinoff in Wakanda, which, you know, I think if you have access to Denai Guerrera, then you better give her as much work as you can, put her on screen as much as possible. And yeah, there's rumors of a season 2 maybe in development, or they're putting the feelers out for Ms. Marvel. I've heard it about Moon Knight. I've heard it about a bunch of stuff. So I guess we just have to wait and see what this fewer releases is going to lead to. I want more Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. And of course, we know for sure that we are getting another season of X-Men 97. So, Jean, what were your overall thoughts on season 1 of X-Men 97?
Oh, I loved it.
I knew
short and brief. Short and brief, I loved it. You know, it was awesome television. We don't often say that animation is must-see event viewing, but for me, it was event viewing. You know, I waited, you know, anxiously for each new drop. So, yeah, I loved it. There's no other way to put it. I think it was a great reintroduction to the X-Men characters. It was a great continuation of the original series. Made me listen to Whitney Houston a whole lot more once it came out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to I'm Your Baby Tonight and then listen to the X-Men theme. So yeah, I just really, I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
What were your favorite parts of it?
Cyclops and Storm. I think they did a tremendous job with their characters for different reasons. I thought Cyclops was finally given, you know, a meatier, juicier portrayal on screen. I heard you and
John.
John.
We're going to get into the Cyclops.
Yeah.
J Cubed, you will be vindicated. The Cyclops will be.
Yeah. So I thought he was a great character. I thought Storm was just, she's just awesome. And it was great to see her being played as awesome. Not as, you know, in any ways limited by her own fears or, you know, depowered, nerfed, or whatever you want to call it. She was fully herself, Omega level, which is something that I've been waiting to see on screen for a long time.
Right. And they said it. They said Omega level threat detected.
Yeah.
About her and Magneto, which is appropriate.
Yes. So those two things were, for me, the highlight, those two characters for me.
Right.
I thought the cameos were really cool.
Yeah.
Seeing Vulcan, Cyclops' long lost brother, who he doesn't know about yet in the series, that was really cool to get a flash of him with the Imperial Guard.
For that. Yeah.
So that was really awesome to see as well. Just these are, I thought they did a really good job of portraying what the X-Men comic really is about.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas behind it, the raison d'etre of the original comic book really came to life in this animated series.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that you wrote down more Goblin Queen, much more.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I loved Goblin Queen, and so there was morph into magic once. I also love magic.
Yeah, but I wanted more of her.
Yeah, we'll talk about her in a little bit because I have ranked a certain movie a little too high just because of the character.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. That's
not
interesting.
obscenely high, but just not at the
All
bottom.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I think Maddie Pryor is a cool character. She has a great character arc, in the comics. And I thought she deserved more screen time. I thought she deserved more screen time, both as Madeline Pryor and as the Goblin Queen.
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe with the season. Was it just raced along a little too quickly? It could have just slowed down 50%, 25% even, and just given a beat for things to register before the next big thing happened. Because it was just like rapid fire, one punch after another, like really. And this was one of the things that people loved about it, but it could have been like 25% slower.
And another thing that I was grateful for in the Storm arc was that Forge was very different on screen than he was in the comic that this is based on, right? Because in the comic book, he was, quite frankly, like an abusive figure. Like, I hated his portrayal. I hated the way that he talked to Storm. I hated the way that he was with her in the comic, because it was very abusive to me. So I was glad that they did not put that part, that feel into their relationship, into the story.
Right. Yeah. But I know you did not like how they adapted Sunspot.
Oh, how could I forget? Yeah, the colorism with Sunspot, just, his backstory. Like in the comic, he's playing football, and he's the one visibly darker Black person on the team, and his mutant abilities activate because he's being racially berated on the field of sport. To take that component out,
right,
does a disservice to the character. And it does a further disservice to the character when, what's his name? Beaumont was asked about it last year on Twitter. And he goes saying, and he says, making him Black would take away or make him less Afro-Brazilian. Like, what? So we have the creator of the show saying making him a Black man as he is in the comic book would take away from his Afro-Brazilianness. Makes absolutely no sense. It's comical. It's, I don't have the words to really explain how disappointed I was when I read those comments. And then to see the show play him as anything but Black was really disappointing as well.
Yeah, no, Brazil has a really diverse population with a huge population of Afro-Brazilian people. And that should be recognized and not erased. I agree. Right. What do you think about the fact that Bone Mayo has exited the series for we don't know what reasons.
We're not going to talk about the OnlyFans. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Well, no, I mean,
can't bring it up. I can't bring it up.
No, you can bring it up. But what they said is that is not the only thing. Basically, is what they put out there. I believe it's probably not the only thing, but I don't know. But so he wrote. It sounds like basically wrote at least the first version of season 2, and then season 3 is going to be someone else overseeing the writing, but the rest of the team is there.
I mean, it's a shame because he did an excellent job, Sunspot notwithstanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He did. It was a great series.
Mm-hmm.
And to have the person who primarily put it together not being there for the future, is disappointing. It is disappointing. And so I'm hoping that he won't be sorely missed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he did a hell of a job with this series. Yeah. He really did.
Yeah.
Really did.
And you said you say here that you think that Magneto was redeemed and Xavier was vilified.
Yes.
So it's like the acolyte with the Jedi.
Yeah. Yes. Magneto was totally redeemed in this season. Everything that he had been saying was true.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't look at this season and say Magneto was wrong.
No, it's true. Hashtag Magneto was right.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. And Professor X, basically just disappearing.
Vilified? Yeah.
He ghosted them. Yes, that's terrible.
They knew where he went. He was dying.
They thought he was gone.
But I can't believe that he agreed to erase them from his mind. And I cannot believe that Lilandra would ask that of him. That's not love.
I mean, no, that's not love. And, that's a whole different conversation between Lilandra and Xavier. But when I say vilified, I really do mean that if, your parent or your surrogate parent disappeared on you, ghosted you, and you presume that they had died, and then you see a video of said parent, surrogate, alive and well, after you've mourned, I mean, and there's really no remorse.
Mm.
He was not remorseful to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the complexification of every character, and that's what I like. That's not that because an X-Men story at its heart is actually about the friendship between Xavier and Magneto, between Professor X and Magneto.
I mean,
and because they're both complicated, they're neither always right or always wrong. They're both approaching things in different ways, but they think for the right reasons.
Right, exactly. And I think that, the dynamic of Xavier as hero and Magneto as villain was turned on its head in this series, which is why I used the vilified, the villain role for Xavier, because, I can argue that Magneto was the true hero of this series.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, he was definitely positioned that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Xavier was,
But will it stay that way? Because at the end, he ripped Wolverine's adamantium out of his skin.
Nah, he deserved that. He deserved that.
Did he?
Yeah, he deserved that. He deserved that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He deserved that. Why? That's the thing with Magneto, is just that he does terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
You can understand why he's doing terrible things, but he's still doing terrible things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't ever want to say to the person who's doing terrible things, great job.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Right? But what I will say is that in this series, it showed how much he cared about people other than him. Mm-hmm. It showed how much he cared about people who even for a long time opposed him. Right?
Yeah.
Who were enemies of his. Mm-hmm. And he tried to go a different way, and that different way didn't work.
Yeah.
So he went back to doing terrible things.
I mean, I have a feeling that spoiler alert, that might not work either.
No, it might not work either.
Yeah.
But I agree. But for the X-Men to, basically just say, well, okay, well, now he has to die. That's not cool either.
Right.
And I can't blame him for being like, after all I did, I tried to turn a new leaf. Look at what they did. Look at how many people died. And you guys are here to kill me? Nah. Nah. Let's get all this adamantium out of you, boy.
Yeah.
Nah. Let's take it all out of you, boy. No way. You here to kill me? I'm the one who deserves death? Nah. We're not doing that.
You sound like me defending the character on an Interview with the Vampire. Like, I know he did bad things, but he was hurt.
I mean, come on now.
Hurt people.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
that's the truest saying in the world. You guys are here to kill me? Out of everyone, I'm the one who deserves to die? Oh, come on. No, that can't stand.
So speaking of characterizations being turned on their head, so John and I, when we talked about X-Men 97, rather flippantly referred to Cyclops as the most DC of the Marvel characters. And I have to quote something that I pulled from our Discord that Jake Hubed wrote, and with apologies up front for not giving this character its due. So Jake Hubed said, listening to the X-Men 97 recap, I have been a nearly lifelong X-Men fan. I am generally not a Cyclops fan, but he is anything but a DC character, at least later in the comics run. He becomes more of a Magneto-type figure in the struggles between mutants and humans. Also, he does not shoot laser beams. His eyes are actually interdimensional portals to, and I shit you not, the punch dimension. His rays are pure kinetic force, not lasers or heat, which I'll admit, I did not know that. Said, beloved the coverage, and 100% agree this is not a kid's show. Feels like it was made more for the adult fans of the original series. Yep. Some of the animation looks so anime, like stuff from Ninja Scroll. You are forgiven for not remembering, but because it was such a bad film, more on that later, but Jubilee was in X-Men Apocalypse, and I still don't remember that. I looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, she was, but I don't remember that. Also should absolutely search out Pride of the X-Men, which is essentially the pilot for the animated series. Yeah. The team roster was the same as the arcade game. Yeah. Hashtag justice for Kitty Pryde. When is she coming?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do Miss Kitty. But
so
I think he's spot on.
Yeah.
I think he's spot on. You see, he's not a DC character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do. So in Mind John's defense, like, we're thinking of the version that's in the 90s X-Men movies mostly, and he's more like the straight up Boy Scout. But I have to say, in this season of X-Men, we have started to see the darkening of Cyclops as a character.
Yeah, I think the movies did him a disservice. What's his name? I forgot the person who played Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Oh my gosh, I can see his face. James Marsden, right?
Yeah, yes, him. They did him a disservice in the films, because at the point where the films were done, we already had a history of a Cyclops being bested by Storm for control to be the leader of the X-Men. A depowered Storm at that. So he went on a whole redemption arc. Not let me not say redemption arc, but he became a real leader. With all the warts that you would expect of that leader. So he's not simply a one-dimensional character where he's just a Boy Scout and that's it. He really has developed in the comics over the last 20 years. He's become something of an inspiration at points to other mutants, and he's become something of an antagonist to the superhero world at large because of his love and his willingness to do anything to protect mutants from extinction.
Okay, so very Magneto indeed.
Very Magneto indeed. So he's gone to great lengths to ensure that mutants would not become extinct in the comic books. And he's changed. He's had a relationship with, Emma Frost in the comic books, not just Jean Grey. He's not just a lovesick puppy for Jean Grey, in the comics. So he's shown there's been a lot of growth of the character over the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's fair. And you and Jay Coops are absolutely right that that is evident in this last season of television. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes from here.
Yeah.
Any other corrections that you wanted to throw out from my conversation with John?
Yeah, the Phoenix Force. So the Phoenix Force is much more than just a thing, right? It existed at the birth of the universe. It will exist at the end of the universe. Some people think it will come about to be the end of the universe. It's the primordial. It's one of the major primordial beings of the universe. Think along the lines of Galactus, the Eternity, these sorts of cosmic beings in the Marvel universe. This is what the Phoenix Force is. On top of that, we have to understand as well that Jean Grey and the Phoenix are one. It's not just the entity has taken control of Jean Grey. The Phoenix
merge.
Yeah. The Phoenix is the nexus point for all psionic powers in the MCU. Everything that you can think of. All psychic, everything, telekinesis, all of that stuff, all of that reading your mind, the Phoenix is the nexus point for all of it. So it chose, let me not say it chose, but because Jean Grey is such a powerful psychic in the Marvel MCU universe proper, it merged with Jean Grey.
Okay.
We are at a point where now, because of what they've done in the comics in the 21st century, especially over the last 5 years with the X-Men, where the Phoenix is an integral part of mutanthood. All mutants are connected to the Phoenix.
Okay.
All mutants that ever existed, have yet to exist, are existing, are connected to the Phoenix Force.
Okay.
In the comics.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to play out on screen, but just to give a little more nuance and more oomph to what the Phoenix Force is. It's not simply just a alien force. It's a really important being in the Marvel verse.
Okay.
And that really important being is not connected to all mutants going forward.
Okay. Well, I'm about to pick your comics brain, but before we do that, I just have to ask quickly. So we got in X-Men 97 a lot of cameos. We got a lot of those morph cameos from characters we've seen briefly on screen before, things like that. But also we got a lot of cameos that hint at a potential crossovers with other 90s series revivals, namely Fantastic Four, Avengers, Spider-Man. How would you feel about an animated 90s Marvelverse?
If it's done like we just watched, then I'm all for it.
So give it to the same production team.
Yeah, if they can replicate that with other characters, then let's do it. Then let's do it.
Yeah, see, that's always a problem because then it ends up, you can't have the same people doing everything at the same time. And then it goes to other people and it's like, we had a similar thing in the interview with the Vampire Universe. They started a Mayfair Witches, which is like, it's another series of books that cross over, but then it was a different team and they weren't as experienced and they didn't pull it off the same level. And you're just like, wah.
Okay. But yeah, I would definitely welcome it if it could be done with the same pizzazz that X-Men 97 was done. Yeah.
So you obviously know a lot about the comics that X-Men 97 first season was based on. Now I have two questions for you. One is, what's up in Marvel Comics? In X-Men specifically comics now, and you gave us a little preview talking about the Phoenix Force situation. And also, if someone wants to get into X-Men comics past or previous, where would you recommend somebody begin? Because it's an overwhelming sea of X-Men comics out there.
Okay, so the first question, this is a great time to jump on to the X-Men because they've just finished this major story arc from the last 5 years, the Krakoan era. And they're about to go, it's called X-Men from the Ashes. They're introducing like 6-7 new comics. So this is a really good jumping in point if you want to get down with the X-Men in the 21st century. What this was personally the last story arc was personally my favorite story arc for X-Men comics, period.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm putting it out there. It might be, some people might give me some pushback on that.
So what comic should people begin with? Like
House of X, Powers of X.
Okay.
You start there and you wind your way down throughout the Krakoan era. There are some amazing comics, X of Swords, anything with the Krakoan tagline on it, I recommend. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is just put together a little reading list and I'll throw it on the comics Discord for folks who want to jump into that. I think that it's some of my favorite writing about the X-Men. Basically, it's what if they won? What if they got everything that they were striving for a mutant in the Marvel comics? What if it all worked out? Right?
Yeah,
this was
intriguing.
It was some really great writing, some really great story arcs. It dealt with a lot of really good issues. How do you build a nation, maintain a nation? What are the rules that you set nation up with? What does it mean to have a nation of mutants recognized by the world? Just what would the backlash be, if any?
Yeah. How does that parallel with what we saw in X-Men 97 this season with Genosha?
Because Genosha was not welcomed by everyone.
But in this case, it is.
But Krakoa was welcomed by almost every mutant on the planet Earth.
Oh man, my reading list
and was recognized and was recognized, as the first mutant nation.
Okay.
Where every mutant, whether you were a criminal or not, was welcome.
So it's basically, what if what we saw in episode 5 of this season had worked instead of ending in tears and death?
Yes. And not only had worked, but what if it worked so exceedingly well? How would Homo sapiens react?
Right.
What would mutants do?
Totally
to
well,
ensure,
right? Everyone's very happy and well adjusted, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the rub, right? And it took 5 years to get to where we're at, but it's a great story. It's a great story.
Oh, I'm definitely sold.
So House of X, Powers of X.
And what are you most looking forward to? What do you think is going to happen in season 2 of X-Men 97?
I'm happy to say I don't know.
Okay.
I heard, the Onslaught stuff. Obviously, that's,
Well, I'm also
teased.
wondering about a certain character holding a certain other character's playing card and uttering the word death.
Right. Apocalypse being teased. There's so many ways that they can go. I am just biding my time. I don't want to guess. I don't want to, and then guess wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and just have them do what they're going to do.
Right.
But like you said, it's been teased. Onslaught, Apocalypse, Mother Ascani,
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So many
So
teases just in like the last
yeah.
5 minutes of that last episode.
Yes. Yeah. So, I just.
Mm-hmm. I have hope.
Oh, that's good.
But I'm ching.
That's good.
Anyway. All right. Well, let's go from looking forward to looking back in order to look forward again. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to have our Fox funeral. All right, let's talk Deadpool and Wolverine. Our Fox funeral begins. So, Deadpool and Wolverine picks up after the last two Deadpools, of course, but it's expected to not only touch on X-Men movies, but potentially all 18 Fox Marvel films. And it also seems to be set mostly in the Loki void, with the TVA playing a big role. So if you haven't watched Loki, then obviously you should. It's one of the best things that Marvel's ever made. Jean, I think you agree.
Yes, absolutely. My number one show from last year. Number two show, I should say. Number two, Last of Us.
What was number one?
But
what?
Last of Us.
Oh, Last of Us. Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So just basically you should watch it regardless, just because it's a good show, but it will also, it seems, play a big role in what we see in this film. So that's a recommend. Catch up if you haven't, regardless. Yeah, and as for the Fox films, we've watched them all, for better or worse. So we'll tell you which are worth your time. I might be a little kinder than Jean. But there are so many crazy rumors about cameos and characters expected from these films. So we're going to run through what the rumors are, but keep in mind, a lot of these are far from confirmed. This is just fun speculation. Please do not let it set your expectations. But also, we might be surprised. There's a good chance we'll be surprised by characters we don't even mention. So obviously, we're going to break this all down after the movie comes out. Now, overall quality of this batch of 18 films, I'm going to call it a diamond in the rough situation. Although, I think, to be fair, that's the case for most of the outsourced Marvel production stuff. And I'm catching Sony here with some side eye as well.
Yes. That's true. Mm-hmm.
So how we're going to do this is we're going to start at the bottom of our rankings. And we're going to, we're going to work our way up to our number one films and then pause the first time a movie's named just to run through what you might need to know about it, what characters you might want to recognize in the new film. So, Jean, what is your lowest ranking film and why?
New Mutants.
Okay. I thought it might be low. Mine's a little higher. So New Mutants it's an X-Men adjacent film released in 2020. It was the last of the Fox Marvel films about some mutants who are kind of put in an insane asylum together. Why is this your lowest rank?
Because it stinks.
I didn't hate it.
It just stinks. It's a terrible portrayal of some great characters. This entire thing about whether it's a dream or not, and Danny Moonstar, just terrible. I don't like comic book movies that don't lean into the comic book.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I liked the horror elements of it. Maisie Williams is in it. I like her, but to be honest, the reason why it's ranked more highly for me has to do with Anna Taylor-Joy as Magic.
Okay, that's
the
fair.
One character from that I would like to see back. There's no rumors of any characters from this film, but
that's fair. And also, yet again, Sunspot, who is not even, who's basically just a white Brazilian man you know, again, from a character who is Afro-Brazilian,
Hmm.
and recast as a white Brazilian man.
But that was 4 years ago. They've
And-
solved racism since then. So.
That's true. That's right. You know, what am I thinking here?
Yeah, there was a press release. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see it.
All right, fair.
All right. So what's your worst one?
My worst one is Elektra, the
Whoa,
2005
really?
Jennifer Garner movie. Yeah.
Oh,
I just think that it just, you know what? I've realized that Elektra isn't my favorite character because I actually do like that portrayal of Elektra better than the version in the Daredevil TV show.
Daredevil. Mm-hmm.
On Netflix, which is not in this Fox funeral. But yeah, I think in this case, it was just that the movie was, I don't know, not really written that well. It was just kind of generic. It was just like, felt vapid and superficial. I don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
Okay. All right.
Maybe it's the character. Maybe it's the movie. It's probably both.
Maybe both. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
And what is your next lowest?
Fantastic Four.
Which one? So we have the Fanforstic one from, when is that? From
yeah, the first the
first one from
the
one
the Fantastic Four
from 2005 or 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
5.
Yeah. So not Fanforstic. Okay. Oh wow, that's lower than I expected.
Oh yeah.
So why is that one though?
Can I say it stinks?
Okay. I mean, I kind of agree.
I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't like Reed Richards. I didn't like Susan Storm. I didn't like Ben Grimm. I didn't like Johnny Torch. I failed to connect to any of those actors portraying the characters. I thought the Dr. Doom was weak sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't do it for me. The movie did not do it for me on any level. I didn't buy any of these guys, you know, as the characters that I read. I'm not a big Fantastic Four person,
right?
You know, collecting those books, but I've read them. I've watched the animated, you know, series, all of them. And this was just a no-go for me. I just couldn't. I couldn't connect with anyone on screen.
That's fair. For me, I wonder if it's the IP, just because, I mean, it's not that I do like Wholesome and Ernest, but I don't know. The Fantastic Four has never really connected with me that much. But I do know there is wishful thinking that Chris Evans will show back up as his role. He Johnny?
As right? Johnny, yeah.
So I'm not holding my breath for that. It would be fun for the fans. I'm not sad to see a different Fantastic Four come in that will hopefully grip me more.
Okay.
No.
Fair.
So yeah, my second to last is Dark Phoenix from 2019, which is it was I guess it's a third attempt to tell this story if you count the original X-Men animated series.
Yes.
And definitely the worst in my book. It was just baffling decision after baffling decision for me, not just in terms of like, you know, the way they tell this story that's become rather well known, but just the character decisions they made, the plotting decisions that they made. I'm pulling my hair out, and I find it an unpleasant experience to watch that one, which is a shame because I love what's her face, Sansa. I love the character of Jean Grey. It should be an easy home run for me, but maybe that's also what makes me harder on it.
No, that's fair. I buy the criticism. That's fair.
And your next? Your
Rise of
15?
the Silver Surfer.
Rise of the Silver Surfer. Okay, fair. For similar reasons, I guess, from the original Fantastic Four.
And I want to put a disclaimer out there. There's a movie I did not even put on the list because it was that bad.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah.
And you can see it. You can see which one it is.
Wait, which one is it?
Fantastic
Fanforstic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that's my next lowest one is the one that people call Fan Four Stick. It's technically called Fantastic Four from 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, for that one, like when I look back on the Fantastic Four movies, I don't much remember. I rewatched them all like a couple years ago, but I still kind of forget the first one. I at least remember Fan Four Stick, but not necessarily for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Right. I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't rank it. I didn't even put it on my list. That's how terrible, in my estimation, that film is.
Fair.
Because it took everything. Like the Fantastic Four is supposed to be the first family of Marvel. It took everything that the FF is supposed to be, and really did a piss poor job of even trying to portray anything of what that's supposed to be. So but Rise of the Silver Surfer makes the list and is low on the list because how do you make Galactus a cloud?
So my number 15 is Fantastic Four 2005, and my number 14 is Rise of the Silver Surfer. So we can talk about all these together. The reason Rise of the Silver Surfer is where it is above the other Fantastic Four movies is because I just remember watching, when I was talking about like tinged with nostalgia, I just remember having a fun time at the movies watching it. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh boy, this is not. But then still, compared to the other ones, I was like, at least it's more memorable to me.
The only reason I have it ranked above the other ones is because Silver Surfer was in it. But they made Galactus a cloud. A cloud. Like, like a storm cloud. Like he's about to rain torrential downpours on the earth.
That was we ran out of budget. What were we gonna do?
This was just terrible.
They spent all their budget on that Silver Surfer.
Yeah. So not a very, and it wasn't even a very good film, right? To me, number one, it wasn't a good film. But to compound it not being a good film, again, with the characters that the actors who portrayed the characters of the FF, were not. For me, they were not suitable to the roles. But then on top of that, Galactus is a cloud? Like, I remember leaving the movie theater just like, wait a minute, a cloud? Like, that's all I kept saying as I'm walking out. Like, wait a minute, he's a cloud. How? In what world did anyone say this is acceptable?
Because that was back at that time, they didn't think, they're like, people who are watching this movie aren't reading the comics. So they didn't really care about sticking that close to it because they're just looking for something to mine for story ideas, basically.
Yeah. And you can tell. You can tell. They had no care for the comic, for the property, for the characters. So the entire Fantastic Four up to this point has been an abject failure on screen.
So it's only up from here. It's got to be better than new one.
Gotta be.
So what's your number 14?
Dark Phoenix.
Okay, fair.
Dark Phoenix was terrible. Jean Grey, horrible. Everything around that movie was just, to me, just like, I really went into it wanting to love it. And much like the Fantastic Four, some of the actors in the movie I'm not a big fan of in the portrayals of the characters. And unfortunately, Jean Grey is one of those that didn't hit for me. I never bought her as Jean.
No, I thought it was a perfect casting, but then they just
I didn't buy her as Jean.
Okay.
I just couldn't.
Okay.
I tried to, and I couldn't. I never got the sense that she was the embodiment of, fully Jean Grey
Mm-hmm.
being a badass, mutant Omega level power. The story around her, Magneto, and it just, wasn't for me.
Yeah. And so what's your 13?
13. Apocalypse.
Yeah. So the movie right before that in the same X-Men.
Yeah. Same
Yeah.
X-Men universe.
Uh-huh.
My guy, he was not it as Apocalypse.
Yeah.
He was not
Oscar
it as
Isaac.
Apocalypse. He was not it.
I liked him okay as Apocalypse. So
I did not. He was not it. He, no. He did not do it for me. He did not move me. He did not have the gravitas for me to play that character.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in some sort of future, you'll get a proper Apocalypse, a proper En Sabanur, but Oscar Isaacs was not it for me.
Yeah, okay, fair.
I didn't buy his portrayal. I hated the look. Just really,
I have that one ranked slightly higher, but that's, I mean, not like higher, but I didn't hate it as much as other people, although apparently I don't remember a lot of it because I forgot Jubilee was in it. But basically my judgment of that film, as my judgment of most X-Men films, comes down to the portrayal of Storm. And I loved that we saw Storm's childhood in Cairo. I always want more of Storm's backstory than we get. So I love that. But then by the end of the movie, they had her hiding behind some wall during the main fight. Like Storm would never. Like
never.
Why?
Never.
Why would you even do that?
And that's part of my, loving of X-Men 97, where they do away with that bullshit with her character. You know what I mean? Like, she's been represented that way for so long that it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because she's not that.
Right.
In the comics.
Right.
She's not cowering behind people.
No, she would never. She's like the goddess. She's an Omega level mutant. She's like, everyone cowers from her.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 13 is the 2003 Daredevil with Ben Affleck, which is just, I like it. Like, so now we're getting to the part of the list where I'm like, I would watch Daredevil again. I like how they show, especially how he sees through sound, they did and I liked how they showed, the setup, the accident in the beginning and stuff. I have to say that it is basically it's basically confirmed that Jennifer Gardner is going to show up in Deadpool Wolverine as Elektra. And so a lot of people are thinking / hoping that means that Ben Affleck will show up as Daredevil as well.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I think I like the movie. So you'll see where it's ranked for me. But yeah, I get it.
Okay. And so what is your number 12?
My number 12 is X-Men United.
Okay, so X2.
Yeah. The X-Men movies were very womp womp for me. I don't think we've ever seen it done well on the big screen personally. And it's just, it was just meh.
Okay.
Which is something that I should never say about an X-Men property.
Yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia, love for especially the original X-Men movie. A lot of people seem to say, like, talk about the second one like it's better, but I disagree. I like the first one best out of the three.
Okay.
And then most people agree the third one kind of falls apart a little bit, but there are going to be a lot of people from these movies that show up in the Deadpool Wolverine. So we know for sure that Aaron Stanford's coming back as the mutant Pyro. Kelly Hu is coming back as Lady Deathstrike. Now, we don't know if Professor X is coming back or which version it would be, but it is interesting that his sister from the comics is in this film. We'll talk about her later. We don't know It is interesting. People noticed that during the time of filming, Halle Berry, who played Storm in these original X-Men movies, dyed her hair white. So,
Ah, okay.
And then people
Okay.
are also hoping Cyclops and Magneto will be back as well. So we'll see. We'll see.
What's your number 12?
My number 12 is X-Men Origins Wolverine, which again, like I don't hate it. A lot of people hate on that movie, and it's not like a good movie. I'm not going to pretend that it's a good movie. But it's kind of like I can have a good time watching it, you know?
No, I get it.
First of all, it's our only live action Gambit that we've gotten.
Yes, that's true. And I know you're a big Gambit fan.
Yeah, I love Gambit. And there's also, I don't know, like, so it's supposed to be the worst portrayal of Deadpool, but because it's the merc with the mouth and then they sealed up his mouth.
Which made no sense, right?
But I think we might get some people. So we know that we're going to get like this whole, we'll talk about the Deadpool core. But one of the Deadpool core is Headpool. And people are theorizing maybe it's the head from that movie who's Headpool.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would be fun.
Yeah, I kind of like that one in like a kitschy way, you know?
I get it. But
yeah. All right. What's your number 11?
Days of Future Past.
Okay. So that's all right. That makes it your second favorite of the new ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only reason is as high as it is because I've always wanted to see some sort of portrayal of that time period on screen. Some of the choices that they made, with Wolverine being the character that goes back in time, and just, I wasn't a fan of it.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of there were some cool spots. I'm thinking of when the Sentinels finally break through.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool spot. But overall, I just thought the movie was weak.
Okay. Yeah, I have it ranked higher, but I get it. From the new X-Men timeline, people seem to be hoping that Nicholas Hoult will show up as Beast. I'm not sure why they think him specifically, but I wouldn't hate it. Yeah. I mean, I think like we just saw Kelsey Grammer as Beast, so it feels like we would, if anyone, see him.
Right. Right.
Hey, any of these actors want to show up for a cameo fest, then I'm down.
Okay with it. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's your number 11?
My number 11 is Deadpool 2. And
okay.
That one, I mean, it's still a fun movie, and you know they have some iconic characters in it and stuff, but it just didn't. It didn't hold us together as well for me. I mean, it's still, this is in the portion of the list where I'm like, I'll happily watch this movie. I'm going to rewatch it before the new one. But well, first of all, we got like the literal fridging incident, which you know they kind of quote unquote solve it later, but. I don't know. It just felt a little more disjointed to me, but I loved the side characters that popped up. And I'm really sad that we're going to get most of the side characters from the Deadpool movies back. So yeah, we're going to get Vanessa, the one who was fridged but unfridged, played by Morena Baccarin. We're going to get even Shatterstar, who was barely seen, but some people might know from the animated series of X-Men, played by Louis Tan. We're going to get, just basically the whole X-Force team. We're going to get Rob Delaney's Peter. We're going to get also like the friends like Karan Soni as Dopinder, the taxi driver with who also has a mouth, by the way, with Leslie Uggams as Blind Al, Wade Wilson's blind elderly roommate. We're going to get Brianna Hildebrand as Negasonic Teenage Warhead back. Even some, Shioli Kutsunu as Yukio, her girlfriend, who was like drastically changed from the comics, by the way. But anyway, so we have Stefan Kapic. I don't know how to say his name. Kapicic as the voice of Colossus. Maybe it looks like we might get a Juggernaut back, so maybe it'll be the version where Ryan Reynolds provided the voice, like in this, or maybe it'll be a different version we'll talk about. And Buck, if you remember, like the bearded bully guy at Sister Margaret's School for Wayward Children, played by Randall Reeder, he's apparently coming back. So yeah, we're getting, I mean, it's a Deadpool sequel. Of course, we're getting a lot of Deadpool characters, but I'm sad we're not getting Domino back.
Yeah, that she was one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, well. And what is your number 10?
Electra.
Okay. So you like that better than me?
Yeah, definitely. I thought the fighting sequences in Electra were really great. Yeah, the story itself was blah, but just strictly for the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
Which is, part of what I come to the comic book movies for.
Right.
I think that was it was really well done, really well executed. The combat in that movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Ninjas.
The ninjas.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
No, yeah, I guess I can see where from a combat perspective, it's more satisfying than from a story perspective.
Yeah.
So my number 10 is X-Men The Last Stand, which is the third movie in the original X-Men trilogy from 2006. And it's just, of the original trilogy, it's just the weakest. So here it is. It's still, I don't dislike it as much as other people. It's another attempt and failure to realize the Phoenix Force plot.
Yes.
But I don't know. It has its moments, like when she kills Cyclops. I'm just kidding. I'm not a Cyclops hater. Really.
You could have fooled me.
But yeah, so we might get, in addition to the other X-Men original cast characters that I mentioned, we might also get Vinnie Jones. He played the Juggernaut at The Last Stand. And it looks like it might be him in the background of the trailer. At least it looks like a Juggernaut. But he was there's an interview recently. Yeah, he like volunteered that information. He's like, by the way, I'm not in that movie. Just by the way,
which
in case you're going to ask.
Which could be a big,
Right. So, I don't know. Maybe we should take him as face value, but I don't believe these actors lie about these things all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and what's your number 9?
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Okay.
I mean, again, it's just for the fighting scenes. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible movie for me. Mm-hmm. I am one of those persons that did not enjoy Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Oh, wow. Okay. Tell me more.
Let me put it out there.
Because he's too tall, or?
Not just that he's too tall. I could never buy him as Wolverine.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy his Wolverine at all.
Okay.
Like, just it didn't do it for me. Mm-hmm. He didn't do it for me. And I know a lot of people, he is Wolverine for a lot of folks. And I get it. Right. But for me, I just never really connected with him as the character.
Okay. Okay, fair. Yeah, my number 9 is X-Men Apocalypse for the reasons. And basically, it only gets as high as it is because it starts in Cairo with Storm. And then I forget about the rest of the movie.
Good. That's a good thing.
What's your number 8?
X-Men.
Mm-hmm. The original. Okay.
Just because it was X-Men.
Yeah.
I really, and I don't want to keep saying this, but I just didn't. The only person that I really connect with is Magneto.
Mm-hmm. In general, no.
We could say in general too. I mean, but that's another conversation. But yeah, I just and I want to be able to say that I'm watching characters that I know, that I like, that I love, mm-hmm. that I've read, and I can really feel those characters come out mm-hmm. on film. But I just never really did, except for Magneto.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not going to say these were my X-Men because this came after the animated series, but
Right.
this was, and so the character most people had an issue with when this came out was the way they basically kind of merged Rogue and Jubilee by
Yeah.
aging Rogue down and like putting her in the middle of the love triangle and stuff, and
Yeah.
that didn't
Which
bother me
is
as much as other people. I think also because I'm the same age as Anna Paquin, who played Rogue, and
okay.
so it was like it was an easy self insert for me,
Okay. Okay.
So I
Fair.
identified in that way. And by the way, before I think it was it was before X2 came out. I was in a movie theater in Union Square in New York, and the X2 trailer came on, and a bunch of people started going crazy, and I saw Anna Paquin like sinking into her seat in mortification.
Oh wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's sad, but wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seemed like it was her friends teasing her, not like,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
not in a
All right.
bad way.
All right.
Yeah. But so from the original X-Men, which came out in 2000, by the way, in addition to the other people I said, Sabretooth, who's Logan's, Wolverine's oft antagonist. And I guess he was his brother in this version. Do I remember that correctly?
I believe so.
Yeah. Played by Tyler Mane. We know that there's been leaked set photos of he's on set, and I won't tell you what happens, but that's all in set photos. We know exactly what his part of the story is if you want to find out.
What's your number 8?
So my number 8 is the New Mutants. So
wow.
it got up there. I told you, like,
in the top 10. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look what I'm dealing with. But
oh my.
But I told you it's purely based on I think about Anna Taylor-Joy playing Magic all the time,
Okay.
and I want to see her back as Magic.
Right.
And I admit this is not a good reason to rate a movie high, but this is not like the most serious rating I've ever done in my life.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All credit is due to Anna Taylor. That's what it is. All right.
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
magic. It's just a perfect confluence of actress and character. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, anyone who doesn't know Magic, how would you describe Magic?
Super cool.
She's got a badass sword and
yeah, a big sword. She's the ruler of Limbo, which is a hell dimension.
Yeah.
She can teleport.
Yeah.
Teleportation disc. I mean, she's just a super cool character, and her brother is Colossus.
And sometimes
what a dope family.
Sometimes she shows up now in the modern Midnight Suns with a U instead of an O in Suns. So I would like to see that.
Yeah. I mean, she's just a really cool character.
Wow.
And I think she hasn't got her, like many of the characters that we've spoken about. She hasn't got her richly and justly deserved dues on screen.
Mm-hmm.
So we could definitely do more for Magic.
What's your number 7?
The Wolverine.
Okay. And so that's the one set in Japan.
Yeah.
2013.
I thought, just the aesthetic of the film, did a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
So there were some flashbacks that I thought were really well done. So yeah, basically I just thought that whole, Japanese aesthetic for Wolverine, which is an important part of the character, was really done well, I thought, for that movie. So yeah, that's why it ranks number 7 on my list.
Okay.
And again, some of the fighting scenes in that film were really great as well.
Yeah.
Like the regeneration that he was doing, his healing factor, the way he kicked in, some of the effects were really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my number 7 is the first Deadpool from 2016. Which, I consider this as a respectable rating. I'm not necessarily as crazy about the Deadpool movies as other people, though I am super excited about the new one, but that's because it's going to be fan service bonanza. It's, closing a door to open new ones.
Right.
But yeah, I know I like it. It's a fun film. I'm definitely going to rewatch it before the new one. Yeah. What is your number 6?
X-Men: The Last Stand.
Okay. So you like that better than X2? That's a kind of you actually it's your favorite of the original trilogy.
Yes.
So what makes it your favorite of the original trilogy?
Because it was the end.
It's over.
And I knew it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I say that with all sincerity.
Okay.
So yeah, it ranks pretty high for me.
Like, Jean Grey's not coming back from this. She killed her boyfriend.
No, she gone. She gone. She gone. She gone. They all gone.
They're all gone.
They all gone. They gone. They gone from. Yeah. Honestly, I was happy to see this end.
Mm.
I was just, between, Jean Grey, Marston, Jackman. I was so done with this crew.
Doing it for you.
Yeah, I was done with this crew at that point.
Yeah.
There was nothing. For me personally, there was nothing that they could have done to bring me back.
Right.
For X4.
Right. Well, I think that was the problem with the general audiences after X3. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I was just really happy that this chapter was kind of closing. Mm-hmm. I saw the ending of this chapter. Mm-hmm. So that's why it ranks so highly for me.
Yeah. So for my number 6 is X-Men 2, 2003. Okay. Yeah. And it's just, I have the nostalgia for the original trilogy, but I have to say this is the movie where they started to mess up with Storm. Right. Like in the first one, they at least had her kind of look like Storm, and they made her attempt to be an African queen, or sell herself as such to some degree. I mean, and by this, she's being styled like a suburban mom, and I just don't get it.
Yeah. Talking about characters that need their just dues, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, come on, get the Storm casting right this time.
Yeah.
What's your number 5?
Deadpool.
Okay.
It was cool. It was fun. Not my favorite character. Mm-hmm. Not my favorite story arc, but the action was great. You put it on and you just, you watch it, and there's explosions, there's cursing. Yeah, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And in comparison to the other films, at least it gives that.
Yeah.
Right, it gives that. So yeah.
Right. So I see that you wrote above Deadpool after the top 4. You said, this is really difficult. I just don't like these films. So top 4, you're like, okay. And after that, you're like, nah.
I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't. Yeah.
I mean, they're not the best the Marvel's ever marveled. Like, people who want to complain about new Marvel films, they
have no idea.
Please watch.
They haven't suffered. They haven't suffered like I've suffered, like you suffered. Been suffering since 2000. That's longer than.
I liked the first X-Men, and this is also, because it was a product of its time, and the first X-Men trilogy really moved forward, superhero storytelling in movies. It showed that this, in addition, of course, to Spider-Man and, Batman and stuff, but it showed that they can tell this weird story about misfits and have it make money.
Okay, yeah, that's true, because the IPs are the IPs. Mm-hmm. They're going to make money. That's the thing that.
But there was also there's always something with an X-Men story that does still exist, maybe to a lesser degree in these original films. But the X-Men story is about people feeling disconnected from society, about feeling, like outsiders. And
I didn't get that.
No, I'm saying this film doesn't do it as well. But the fact that X-Men stories are always that on a fundamental level, I think they're always going to have an audience, and a passionate one at that.
But can I ask you a question? Without Magneto's presence in any of these films, any of the films, the X films, do you get that feeling?
I mean, Magneto was not like it for me in these films, to be honest. I mean, he's important and he's a big character, and I see why.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying without his presence in the films, do you get that sense?
Oh, like the outsiderness?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I say that these films did not, and I think this is just the nature of, it's the early 2000s, which is basically the late 90s when it comes to filmmaking. And they were just not taking as many risks in the storytelling. They were kind of, playing a little safe, a little vanilla. I think that's a problem with a lot of these films, and especially a lot of films in general from the early 2000s.
I mean, I think the only one that did anything to give you that sort of outsider feeling that the comics was based on, like, it was Angel, but that's because he had visible wings.
So Angel was easily my favorite in the last film, and that's one of the reasons why I ranked the last film higher than a lot of people do.
I don't think, for me personally, I didn't get the allegory with racism in the United States with these X films that the comic books so heavily. I think,
they leaned away from it because they were just playing it safer.
Right. So without the inclusion of Magneto history of being a Holocaust survivor.
Right.
I didn't get any of that gravitas from these films.
Well, it is funny because that was like the one outsider status, or it's not even really outsider status, but that was like the one thing they're like, we can talk about this. We all agree Holocaust bad, but
we're not going to talk about the obvious racial allegory.
Or I always think of it as like there's also a lot of LGBT allegories.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm. And none of that gets spoken of, and that's the thing. So,
yeah, I rank the original X-Men for nostalgia and trailblazeriness. That's a word.
Okay.
Well, but we'll get to my ranking of that. My number 5 was actually the Wolverine 2013. So that's the one, him in Japan. I quite enjoy that one. I will happily rewatch that. I think there's a lot of I think that they make good use of the setting. I think there's a lot of fun character moments in that. The story is tight, decent. I think that's a really solid movie.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's a good one. Not too far apart in our estimation of the Wolverine.
And what's your number 4?
Deadpool 2.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Cable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Domino.
Right. I love Domino. I'm so bummed she's not coming back.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. But those are the reasons why it's so high. They were great characters. The portrayals were really good. I enjoyed both of those characters. I can watch, both actors as those characters anytime.
Right.
Anytime.
Okay. My number 4 is Days of Future Past 2014. So
really?
I thought that it was they did some really interesting things with the structure. I wasn't so bothered as you by like Wolverine being at the center of it, because I know that that's been their bankable character in that iteration, you know?
Right.
It works for me. I thought that it was quite solid. Yeah. Although when I think about it, I might actually swap it with the Wolverine, because I do think I like the Wolverine better than that.
Better. Okay.
Yeah. And what's your number 3?
First Class.
Mm-hmm. That's also my number 3.
Oh, get out. Yeah, I just thought it was, it was X-Men. It was reboot, just wanted to see where they go with it. What's my guy's name? Played Magneto. What's his name? Why can't I remember his name?
Michael Fassbender?
Yeah, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really, I thought it was an enjoyable movie, a nice way to reintroduce characters, and I appreciated that it was done in the time period that it was done.
Mm-hmm.
But again, disappointed that we didn't get to the real meat and potatoes of what the X-Men is about in that.
Yeah.
So shying away from the obviousness of what the comic book started as an allegory towards, even with, people always say, you have Malcolm X and MLK Jr.
Right.
being represented by Magneto and Professor X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish they lean into that stuff more.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was like a solid reboot, good introduction to the new characters. They got me interested in the world. And I liked, but that was wasn't that the one with Emma Frost? Am I correct in thinking that? I know one minor character from that, Azazel, is going to show up. We've spotted that character in the trailers for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Realize that. I think my only one of my biggest complaints was that Darwin died, and I wish that he didn't, because I like his character a lot.
Yeah. Well, in the multiverse, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Yeah.
What's your number 2?
Daredevil.
Okay.
I thought it was, at the time it was released, I thought it was great. The fighting, the action, and that is really awesome. And it's, yes, he has superpowers, but the action felt grounded. And Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin is forever my Kingpin. Even with, my guy, I'm blanking on his name in the Daredevil Netflix series. What's his name?
Oh, it's Kingpin. Oh, yeah, shoot. I see his face.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's great. But
Vincent D'Onofrio, right?
D'Onofrio, yes. Yeah. D'Onofrio is awesome. He is awesome. But, Michael Clark Duncan really, I really enjoyed his portrayal of Kingpin in that movie.
Yeah,
I can always remember that the final fight between the two of them really got me pumped. So I think that the action sequences and for a 2003 film was really, really, it was really good. It was really good. So I enjoyed Daredevil. That's a movie, like you've been saying, for a couple of them, that you could watch if it comes on and you have nothing else to do. For me, that's Daredevil as well.
Okay. All right. And that leaves, and my second
What's
one
your number
was...
2?
Yeah, my second one was X-Men, the original one. I already litigated that, the iconicity, and that's basically what it's about.
Okay.
The memories. Okay. And that leaves the same number 1 for us both, which is Logan. 2017.
I mean, one of the best comic book superhero movies ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm wondering if we might get Daphne Keane, who played what's her name? X-23, and other people might know her from the current Acolyte, where she plays Jackie Lund, or might know her from His Dark Materials. It would be fun if she showed up in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Like I said, Hugh Jackman was not my Wolverine, but I thought this movie was really well done.
Yeah.
It was a great, great film.
Right.
Characters, story, just action. It was just, it was a really, really well done film.
Let me ask, is Patrick Stewart your Professor X?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. No. I mean, I think he's an iconic Professor X, and he is. And the two of them together in this movie, it is like this kind of, it was a surprisingly art house comic book film.
Nah, definitely. Their relationship in that movie was really special. It was really good to see. Their dynamic. And I say Patrick Stewart is not my Professor X, only because there hasn't been another Professor X yet. Did I hate his portrayal as Professor X? No. Am I done with him as Professor X? Yes.
You're ready for someone else. Like Wanda killed you. In Multiverse of Madness. Yeah.
I'm ready to move on from him as being the professor.
So I'll avoid.
I'd rather him as Picard.
Okay, fair. So I will avoid specifically spoiling the end of this movie since it seems to be the one we most recommend that other people watch, just for those who haven't watched. But I will say that that they've talked a lot about with the making of Deadpool and Wolverine and the fact that Wolverine is coming back for this, that they will not be touching the end of this movie, that the end of this movie remains the way it is. But of course, this is a multiverse. So
Right. I mean, it's a great movie, and just anybody who hasn't seen it, this is a must watch for me. Mm-hmm. Like it's a must watch.
Would you recommend any of the others to people who haven't seen them?
No.
None of them?
No.
Are you going to rewatch any of them before the Deadpool movie? No.
All
right. I would recommend Logan, of course. I mean, I would recommend.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'll recommend the Wolverine. Actually, is the other one that I'll recommend the most. And I recommend the better X-Men movies just because they are iconic and pop culturally important. But actually, yeah, I'm going to rewatch. I think I'm going to rewatch the Wolverine, Logan, and the 2 Deadpool movies. That's going to be my rewatch strategy.
Yeah, I think the Deadpool movies, obviously, you have to watch.
Yeah.
You definitely should watch those movies. Not just to get a sense of what's happening for the 3rd movie, but because they're enjoyable for different reasons. They're not the best movies made, but most people, I think, who've watched them have enjoyed them for a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. So I would say, yes, definitely you should rewatch or watch for the first time the prior 2 Deadpool movies. Mm-hmm. Logan is a movie that everyone should watch, period. Yeah,
just because it's
whether you're a fan of comic book movies, you're a fan of, superheroes and stuff like that, or you're not. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That's a movie for people who enjoy film.
Right.
Like, watch that movie. Those are my recommendations.
Yeah.
Everything else that we've just talked about, whether I see them again or not, I highly doubt that I'll see them again. There are some films that if there's I'm up one night having one of my insomnia bouts and it's on, maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to search them out.
Right. You know what? I think I'm also going to watch X-Men Origins Wolverine. Just if anyone wants just kind of like a fun movie to quote unquote hate watch. But I also think it's going to end up, because that was the last time Deadpool and Wolverine were together in a movie. And because it is Deadpool being the kind of humor that it is, and this movie was so excoriated by fans, I think they're going to reference it a lot in the new film and make fun of it, basically.
Oh, that's probably, you might be right on that. Definitely. You might be right on that.
So do you think at the end of this new movie, Deadpool will move into the main MCU, or do you think it might end on a different timeline in a different universe?
I think Deadpool will move into the main MCU.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's a character that they probably want in the main MCU because of Ryan Reynolds' popularity. Mm-hmm. And he's still young enough to pull it off to varying degrees. Mm-hmm. And so I think, yes, Deadpool will move into the MCU proper.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, we're going to have, at least, we know that, like I said, there's going to be the TVA stuff, the Void from Loki. You should definitely watch Loki if you haven't, to figure out who Elysia is, which is the good kind of cloud monster, unlike fake Galactus.
Unlike Galactus.
Elysia is supposed to be an angry cloud. A
cloud we could get behind. Not like the other one.
Because of where they left things, I also wonder if the character Renslayer from Loki will show up as well.
Huh, that's a good.
There's been rumors about Mobius, Owen Wilson's character, so yeah, maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if anybody from the Loki series showed up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Loki showed up.
That would, maybe a different Loki. Maybe President Loki.
Not President Loki. I mean the Loki.
Yeah, but he's busy. He's got his hands full.
he does have his hands full, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a cameo from
maybe they'll
Loki
visit
with
him.
his hands full.
That'd
That's
be
what
cool.
I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Not that he shows up hey, what are you guys doing? But like somehow he's in the movie.
So one cameo we know that we're getting is Rob McElhenney's going to play a TV agent. And anyone who doesn't know who that is, he and Ryan Reynolds have that team in Wales together that they have the Wrexham TV show about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's also best known for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and for I love Mythic Quest. Mythic Quest is my preferred of those two shows.
I never watched Mythic
so
Quest. I know I've heard a lot of people have said that.
It's so funny. I mean, I worked a lot at games companies, and it's like, oh,
okay.
Yeah. It's like it's the way Silicon Valley is so funny because it's painfully true, you know?
Right.
And it's got the greatest characters. I love Mythic Quest. Anyway.
No, I'll put it on my list to watch.
Yeah. We also, I think the Void is just going to be like Easter egg central. Like we've already seen from the trailers, crashed Q ships from Thanos. We've seen. It seems like we'll talk about Cassandra in a minute, but it seems like the bad guys have a headquarters in a giant corpse of Ant-Man.
Yeah,
living inside him.
I think this movie is going to be crazy and crazy in a good way. So
right.
I'm looking forward to it.
And they're also apparently like Thor's going to show up in a repurposed Dark World clip. And we saw in the trailers somebody's using sling ring portals. So could that be Doctor Strange, Wong,
could it be
Ned,
Wong,
somebody else? Remember when they made Ned a wizard in Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're right.
There's also there's more like cameos we haven't even mentioned that have been shown in the trailer. For instance, like there's this character from the Tom Jane Punisher film from 2004, which isn't even this is not a Fox film, so it wasn't on our list. But it seems like there might be random cameos from other Marvel stuff that's going to collect scattershot. I guess they're just like, goodbye to all the old non-Marvel Marvel.
Yeah. I welcome it.
People are wondering, Wesley Snipes' Blade. That would be fun. We're also getting the Deadpool core, as I alluded to. So we've got Headpool, we've got Baby Pool, Kid Pool, who's being played by Walker Scobell, and Kid Pool carries something that's kind of like lightsabers, but they weren't allowed to call it that. But now that it's Disney, I wonder
they might be able to.
Yeah,
who knows?
They might just like flat out make jokes about Star Wars. Yeah. We've got Dogpool, whose actor is Peggy. I'll have you know. You can see pictures of Dogpool online. And it looks like we're going to have a Lady Deadpool. And the rumor, or people are assuming, or maybe just blindly hoping, that Lady Deadpool is going to be played by Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm all for it. The more mayhem that they throw at us, I think will be well worth it.
And it seems we're getting at least one Wolverine variant, but I'm hoping that means more. So we've got like this patch Wolverine variant. We see the back of him sitting at a gambling table, at a poker table, and it could be played by, I'm thinking, Daniel Radcliffe, because
I hope it's
big
Daniel
fan
Radcliffe.
casting. But some people are saying Tom Hardy, but I'm hoping
I can see both of them, but I hope it's Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I agree. And there's rumors that, because Channing Tatum was supposed to play Gambit at one point, and there's rumors now that, I don't know, maybe we'll get a Gambit cameo. There's a strongest insistence in the press right now that Taylor Swift is not playing Dazzler or anyone else, but I don't know. Lies have been spoken before on this matter.
Yeah.
I'm not holding my breath, but I'm not, just because they say it's not happening doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to. Did you watch Succession?
I have not watched Succession.
Okay. But you're probably aware of the characters. So Matthew McFadyen, who played Tom Walmsgams, who is my favorite character on Succession, he's using his own accent to play a new TVA agent, or new to us TVA agent, called Paradox. And I can't tell from the trailers if this is going to be a friend or a foe, but I'm reading maybe something sinister.
Hopefully, it is
Hopefully.
sinister.
Then we know that one of the biggest villains is going to be Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, who is the one who played the younger Princess Diana in The Crown.
Yes.
So how would you describe Cassandra Nova? She's a big character in the comics. This is her first time on screen?
Yeah, it is. So she's, in the comics, she's like a twin of Professor X. That, so she's the twin of Professor X, much more powerful mutant, much more powerful psychic. She's a psychopath. So it'll be interesting to see how they play her. And she has some interesting developments. We'll talk about more when the movie comes out or when we review it. But yeah, just know that in the comic books, she's the family of Professor X.
Right. And she's apparently called a Mumudrai.
So yeah,
she's a parasitic.
Like they were twins in the room.
Right.
It's rather disgusting.
And he tried to kill her in the womb, but she lived somehow.
And her in the astral plane.
Yeah.
She took form and took a physical body and came out looking for vengeance.
Yeah. I'm excited about this. I'm very curious. And we also had pyramids visible in the void. Do you think we might have a Kang variant incoming? Or do you think they might have, if we did, they might have scrapped it, to be honest?
I think they might have scrapped it.
Or, I mean, there were those Coleman Domingo rumors a while back.
Yeah. Maybe. I'd be cool with it. I'd be happy with that because I like Coleman Domingo. I think he's a great actor. So I think that would be great. But we'll see. But personally, I think scrap.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any more hopes or expectations for the new Deadpool Wolverine?
No. I'm going into these movies, with just open-mindedness.
Okay.
I am a blank slate.
All right.
Going into the summer of 24 and beyond. I am a blank slate. I just want to see what they have and hopefully be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And
open mind.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna be. So again, watch Logan if you've never watched it. And for the upcoming Deadpool 3, watch the 2 Deadpool movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would throw in watch the other Wolverine movies too. One for a good movie and one for so bad it's good again movie. Are we wrapping back around on that on Origins?
Yeah, we could we could do that. I'll allow it. We'll allow it. We'll allow it.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be back, as I said, to talk about this after it comes out. But in the meantime, going on the network, we are in the middle of
Never gets old.
So yeah, we're covering their Hot D. I can't, every time I look at Hot D, I have to say it like that. House of the Dragon season 2 has just begun, and so there's full coverage on the main feed. There's also subscribers are getting little mini episodes that drop right after the episode airs with hot takes from John and David. So you can also, if you want those subscriber benefits like that and the show guide and early ad-free access to the episodes, you can sign up for just House of the Dragon and the Supercast season pass. So you'll find that link in the show notes. We're also covering on the main feed. John and I just recorded today the new Doctor Who penultimate episode of the season. And also The Acolyte will be coming out, tonight as we're recording now, the next episode of that. And so you'll find The Acolyte. It's on the main feed, and you'll also find it on my brand new feed, the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. On the main feed, there will also be a new Silmarillion stories coming out. Rings and Rituals. Next week, they'll be covering the 8th episode of season 1 of Rings of Power and their recap to help you prep again for the new season of Rings of Power, which is starting in August. And on Radioactive Ramblings, they are covering The Boys. So they released their first episode breaking down the first 3 episodes of The Boys, and then they'll have weekly coverage along with The Boys weekly drops after that. And in addition to that, they're also continuing their Fallout lore series. Properly Howard Movie Review is wrapping up their Felonies and Fugazi season with Hero at Large. Or I thought that it was supposed to be Dragon Age. I don't know. Anyway, whatever movie they're covering, it's going to be funny. And on Will Shift Dust, I am interviewing Beacon 23 co-showrunner Glenn Matsara, who you might also know is the showrunner of the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead, amongst other things. And you can also watch out for the second Shift breakdown of the Shift book in the Silo series and the Will Shift Dust book club. So if you want to... Yeah, it's a lot.
It's all good stuff, and it's all good stuff. So
yeah, I mean, you've been enjoying all of this hot lore summer eatings, right?
Absolutely. So let's all get in on it.
Space wizards,
get on
galore.
the Discord.
Yeah,
state your claim, what team you're repping.
Yeah,
Black,
and you're gonna give
green.
us our comics primer on the comics Discord channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll be today's Tuesday, so I'll pick up some comics today and drop in some recommendations, and also the X-Men recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to give our shout out, as always, to the people who make this possible on the technical production side, especially. So thank you to our Discord server boosters, Gnarls, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Dork of the Ninjas, Duve71, Captain Gingy56, Athena Ajalea, and our lore masters, especially, who fund basically all of the technical things that we need and make sure that co-hosts get paid and things like that. So that would be Sam Martian, Michael G, Michelle E, David W, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Bettina W, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Eric F, Matthew M, Sarah M, DJ Miwa, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Deadeye Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Aaron T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership, Gnarls, Kathy W, and always last, Adrian. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And to all of you, we wish you a happy Deadpool prep month.
Take care, everyone.
See you on the other side.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. This summer, we enter a new era of Star Wars.
You mean the Dawn of the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast?
Yeah, sure, that too. But I was obviously talking about the Acolyte. We've got to cover that on the Lorehounds.
Oh, but the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast is exactly at that point in the timeline, the end of the High Republic, 100 years before the prequel trilogy. We've got to cover it there.
Why not both?
Okay, deal.
It's the first live-action Star Wars outside the Skywalker saga. Nobody can miss this.
Listeners, kick off your hot lore summer weekends with scene-by-scene breakdowns of The Acolyte, found in both the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast and the Lorehounds Mother feed.
And the Lorehounds Star Wars feed.
Wherever you like to listen, a couple of days after each new episode is released.